Hi guys, and welcome to this afternoon's You Create Art at Home with me, Bess. I have already done a painting class this morning at 6 a.m, which was fun because I shared it with all the Northern Hemisphere crew when it was nighttime. Today's daily doodle is going to be, we're going to do the drawing now, and then I've actually got a one-on-one art class with one of my students that I'm doing via FaceTime. So after that, then I'm going to do the mini make. So that'll be later on early evening probably for the messy make. So thank you for all of your feedback. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for sharing. Gosh, I think I've got 450 odd likes now. I've actually got more likes on this site than I actually have on my other site. Something's obviously been going wrong there. It's not really about likes. For me, this is not about likes. It's not a popularity contest. It's me having some focus in these difficult times, and for you guys when you're at home. I actually have two of my three children homeschooling now, the two high school students. Hi Libby, welcome. My youngest still wanted to go to primary school, so he went off today to primary school with his hand sanitizer and all of his smiles and excitement, but my two high school students are starting to do their work at home. So this daily doodle will be suitable for any age, okay? So you can do it if you are 88, age 8, perhaps less than 5 might struggle a little bit, but with a bit of guidance. And teenagers, you can have a go at this. This is a pencil drawing with a bit of mark making. Mark making is a very arty term that we learn usually in about, I don't know, in England, I guess I learned mark making in my A-level years, so that's probably 10, 11, 12. And mark making is about using different lines and different marks on the paper to create texture and technique. And this is really important when you're doing things like pencil drawings and things like that. Otherwise, certainly when you're a younger student, or if you are new to drawing and you're an adult new to drawing, often we just do, the whole grey shade, the one-tone grey shade. So this is really about stretching that a little bit and looking at how we can do some extra marks and use marks. Now, for that, I'm still using my caddy of stuff that we talked about. So your regular bits and bobs at home, okay? So it's nothing special, nothing technical. I've got a pencil. Today, as I look through, I'm probably going to use a black texter. I will use a permanent pen. And the reason why I use these is because you've got different size nibs. So you've got a big nib and a smaller nib. What else have I got? I have got, this one here is a 5H pencil, so that's going to give me a different tone to that one. I've got another black texter, which has got a different size nib. I'm looking for a black biro. Let me just have a check out this one. Yeah, I've got a black biro. Again, that's going to give me another texture. And I've got another permanent marker, which is even fatter again. In fact, it's pretty flat that, but it might give me some interesting texture. Okay, so thank you to Mrs. Chandler. I should call you Mel in this informal environment. Mel is a teacher at my children's primary school and taught my eldest son when he was there, and she's a fantastic teacher. She's at home at the moment for health reasons, and her and her daughter, Georgina, hi Georgina, went out for a lovely walk today as part of their, activity, and they combined fresh air, activity, quality time, did some beautiful photography of nature, took some photographs of a butterfly, a beautiful green tree frog, which definitely, let's do that one day not as a daily doodle, because it needs a little bit more. We'll do it as a watercolor painting, I think. It'd be beautiful. And was there a little spider of some description? Great little collection. And funny enough, earlier on today, I had a conversation with my daughter. We sat down with our two high school students and explained, look, this is not a holiday. You need to do your homework. I don't expect you to follow the same timetable as high school necessarily, but let's say, on a daily school day, you do 4 hours of learning. That's kind of what we expect here. So it is about 4 hours of learning outside of lunch, morning tea, afternoon tea, and all those sort of breaks. So we sort of said the same to Thomas and Daisy, and they were all good for it. And I said, and you know, outside of that, once you've done your set work by the teachers, education and learning, it can happen in many ways. So I said, in fact, I think it was David said you could do an online photography diary of photographs that you might see every day while we're in this lockdown coronavirus. I talked to them about Anne Frank's diary, and how, you know, I mean, flipping heck, that is one of the world's most incredible books. And essentially it was from a little girl sat scared in her bedroom for a couple of years when World War II was on. And we're in similar times. So at the end of the day, anything you do now is going to be a reflection of your mindset, of the journey that we've been on together and individually. And these daily doodles for me are a bit like that. They're kind of just like a little bit of me time, really. So we said that to the children. So you could do a drawing every day, you could do a little bit of writing every day, you could create your own little website, I said to Daisy, why doesn't she learn how to do some online editing, and she could edit my videos and actually do a better job than me. But anyway, so inspired by Melinda's walk, I didn't have enough time because by the time I saw the pictures, I couldn't then print it out and bring them over. But inspired by that, I thought we would draw a stag beetle. A stag beetle is one of my favourite insects. Not that I'm an insect freak, but they are pretty cool. I used to draw a lot of them when I was doing screen printing at Bodmin College. Stag beetles and insects are really fun and really... they've got lots of texture and, you know, can be really quite good to draw. And kids love them. So they're really good for adults and they're really good for kids. So to change it up a little bit, I'm going to show you what we're going to draw on today. So when I'm going past op shops, and pretty much today, you're going to have this view, although I don't really want that. What bit's that I can see? Just try and tighten it. Okay. Sorry about this, I had it all set up earlier. Okay, when I go to op shops and things, I always look out for these gorgeous old books. You know, you can pick them up for absolutely diddly squiddly. So they come for nothing, but they've got that lovely smell of age. They've got beautiful illustrations and photographs of a bygone era that obviously children are looking at me going, you're barking mad, what's all that about? But they have this lovely colour and lovely texture. So when I'm doing, and you might have seen in markets people selling illustrations on pages like this of like Winnie the Pooh or, you know, all that sort of stuff. Well, you know, at the end of the day, it's the same kind of thing. So this is going to be my drawing page today. This is where I'm going to do my daily do on this page. I've picked this one because it's text behind it is about ants and insects. So I thought it was kind of relevant. So we're going to do quite a large illustration, and it's going to go diagonally across my page. I'm going to apologise straight up if this camera is twisted at all for you. I'm hoping it's not. I am trying to learn how to do this. Okay, so we're going to start off with the top part. So beetles come in many different kinds. A stag beetle is one of the most handsome. It's big and it's quite a powerful insect, and it's about the size of a mini mouse. They are quite large. It gets its name from its massive jaws, like a stag's antlers, and that's where it's actually come from. They're made up of kind of 3 sections. Like most insects, they're made up of 3 sections. A head and then 2 body parts, okay? So we're going to start with the 2 body parts, and then we're going to do the head afterwards. So here we go. Are you ready? Okay. So we're going to do a straight line. So you can see I'm not in the top corner. I wouldn't say I'm in the middle. Middle's here. I'm about midway up in the middle, about here, okay? Straight line across. Now children, we are going to be sketching this lightly so we can rub some of these lines out. If you press hard with your really hard pencil grip like this, that's when you can't rub pencil out. lightly, softly with your fingers, okay? So if I get a ruler, then I can just show you how long my lines are. So that line is about 3 centimeters, okay? Hi Danica, thanks for saying I'm doing a great job. I don't know, I'm probably sounding rubbish to be honest, but appreciate it. Okay, the next part of his saddle part here is a little bit wider. So I'm just making a little bit wider, and then I'm going to join the two up. So it is like a square, but obviously that is slightly smaller. So that's 3 centimeters. Down here, we're at 3.5 centimeters, okay? You don't need a ruler, guys. This is just for me to tell you. But kids, if you want to use a ruler, that's okay. All right, so that's that part. We're now going to do the bottom, the bum end. We go a little bit wider than that line there, a little bit wider. So you can see I'm just a little bit further out. And we are going to go, so that was 2.5 centimeters. I'm going to go down about 6 centimeters, 6.5 centimeters, and I'm going to put a dot. Can you see where I've put that dot? Yeah? And that's the top there. Can you see that? So there's the dot, that's the top. Now we're going to draw down, and we are going to curve it into that dot. So I'm using very sketchy lines, down, and we're going to curve it into that dot. So that's the bum bit. Where's my rubber? So when you end up having too many lines, try and rub out a little bit as we go so it doesn't become too complicated, I would say. All right, so it's not too complicated. All right, so it's a little bit harder for me because I'm doing it on an angle, but hopefully that's in line. It looks like it is. Okay, the head section is basically this same shape, but it's going upwards. So if I flipped that shape there, up there, then that's exactly how it would be. So I'm going to draw a guideline. I'm going to take that point up here, take that point up here and go across. And now I'm going to join them up. So you should see that it's almost like the opposite of a funnel. So this one goes out, this one goes out that way. It goes in at the middle, in at the meeting point. Okay, again, at the moment, these are just guiding shapes, yeah? Just guiding shapes. So we've got, this is the main body, and this is the head, all right? Now we're going to draw the two enormous jaws that give the beetle its name, all right? To do that, on the left-hand side, we're going to do a giant curve, like a crescent moon. A giant curve, like a crescent moon. But this side, we kind of want it looking like it's opening. So this side, we're going to make it go wider, and it's going to have a curve, but not as much. So it kind of just has a kind of slight kink, a slight kink. Okay, now do the other side of that moon and bring it in. And then the other side of that claw, but it doesn't go back in there. It goes flat to the middle of the head. Okay, flat to the middle of the head. Now, the claws are a little bit, what's the word? A bit like a crab claw or a lobster claw. They've got that kind of scallopiness, scallopy shapiness. So I'm just going to change the shape of that claw there and change. I guess they're the gripping parts, aren't they? When they're gripping their prey. I guess that's what it's for. Not a botanist, not a naturalist, so I'm not quite sure. Right, I'm just rubbing out some of those guidelines. So once I've done and changed the shape, then you rub out your original lines, and that helps you see exactly where you are. Okay, so there's my stag beetle. Now, the wings lie over this part of the body, but you can't see them. The front wings are not used for flight, but they're kind of a protective layer. So we can't see them, but we are going to add the dividing line down the back where the wing goes. So I'm going to add the dividing line down the back where the wing goes, all right? And that line also goes down the saddle, which is that bit there. So we've got a halfway line. Everybody with me so far? Good job. Okay. So we've got the jaws done. Let me just draw that in there. Now we want to add the legs. Now, as with all insects, I wouldn't say all insects, I don't know if this is actually true, but I think it's true. I used to do face painting and I always used to say this. The legs come from the bit where the saddle and the body meet. So, and they come and they're kind of in a concertina of 3 parts. So this one here, I'm going to go up a tiny bit, out a tiny bit, and then forward a tiny bit. That's the first leg. The second leg, just from a bit below, up a tiny bit, down backwards a tiny bit, and out. The third leg I'm taking from the bottom end. So it's not coming from that area there, it's coming from this area, and it's out. And the bottom leg only has 2 joins, okay? Okay, we're gonna do exactly the same on this side. So again, you can change the direction of your beetle's leg. So we'll go out there. We might make this a bit flatter if he's skittling along the ground, and out there. Second leg, 1, 2, 3 joins. And I always draw like this, so sketch it out first before we go into all the detail. And the third leg is going to be the other side across from there, okay? The other side across from there and down. Okay, so that's a pretty good layout for our beetle. His legs are really long and slender, so that's something to remember. And all 3 parts will be attached at the end. They're kind of attached in the middle and the front. There is 2 little feelers either side of the head, so we're going to add them in as we're doing our sketch layout. So sketching 1 feeler. Oh, no, that doesn't look right. Or is it that one that doesn't look right? Hang on. So there's the head. It needs to come out and then across, out, then across. Okay. Okay, now we start to put some meat on the bones, so to speak. Okay, we start to change the shape and draw into the shape. Now, this is where I'm going to change it up and I'm going to start to use a biro. So I'm going to get my black biro and I'm going to start to go round my shape and put in some details. So the head, it isn't exactly square like this. Obviously it has round corners. So when I'm sketching like this, I am literally sketching with a pen. So a pen I cannot rub out, yeah? So we're going straight into this now with a pen. And I'm literally going to sketch round my drawing. Now it has a little kind of couple of dips there where the mouth bit is. And then it might be a little bit more rounded rather than square on the corner. And I'm just going to sketch it down. Then it has a kind of, just actually drawn through that piece of paper. I might just put a piece of paper. Let me just find a piece of paper to put underneath because I went through the paper there. That's better. I think this book might be so old that it actually, I'd just not pressed so hard, it actually went through there. Okay, so I'm drawing. All of this is mark making, so this is kind of your scribbly marks. Okay, let's get these lines in for our claws. So we're going over our pencil drawing. Okay, with our feelers, we need to give them some dimension. So you need to make them wider than they were. And they've got these like extra little fluffy hairs on them, which is what they use for sensing. I don't want these to be perfect straight lines, okay? So this is really part of this kind of drawing, is having that kind of scribbly texture, okay? This is part of the drawing. You want that scribbly texture, okay? So that's the head and the claws. Got to do this feeler here. So again, just making it 3-dimensional. 1, 2, 3 little feelers on the side. Now the saddle, we want to take away the hard corners of our shape that we drew, and we're just going to round them off. Add in that line, dividing line on the back. I might add a little bit of shadow there. Beautiful, doing a great job. And then I don't know what these bits are. I'd have to look them up in a proper encyclopedia, but there's this kind of stuff in between where the Beetle kind of joins up. Now to do the legs, you need to do exactly the same. So in each section, you need to make them, although they're small and thin, we need to make them wider, okay? We can't just have them as single lengths, all right? And then the foot has this kind of raggedy edge to it. And I'm going to actually colour that in darker. Okay, so there's the connecting bit to the body. Then it's going down. And now across, and it's going to have this bumpy, raggedy edge. And I'm going to colour it in a little bit. Okay, and this one over here. One really nice long leg over there. And do the bumpy, just got my paper catching under there. Doo-doo-doo. Beautiful. Okay, that's 2 of the 3 legs. And now we're going to overdraw the back bit. Doo-doo-doo. And can you see how I'm doing a scratch right over the page and this side here? This is going to help give a shade and dimension. And I'm going to do it over this side, like that. And all of a sudden that's given us a bit of shade and a bit of dimension. Okay, we're going to do the last legs, make them nice and three-dimensional. And they've got kind of extra bits on their feet. And that one here. Beautiful. Okay, I'm going to go back to my pencil now and I'm going to add in some shading. So shading, how do we shade? Well, the harder you press, the more lead you'll come off. So you'll press the lead off. But you'll also create quite an indentation. So you can shade this way and you can shade that way and use that crisscross as part of the design. Another way you could shade is in stripes. So you could actually use the marks that you make as your shading design. So you can see there I'm just doing some really wide stripes in pencil. But on this one, I'm going to use the flat of the pencil to really try and get some shadow over where I've just done that biro area. And I'm shading this in the opposite way to the biro to give it some texture. Kids might want to colour these in. If you colour it in, you might want to look at using reds for the beetle claws up here. But the back, although it is black, you don't want it to be solid black. You want it to have some green, well, sort of like peacocky colours. So I would say that you would have kind of a bluey colour maybe. So I'm going to add a bit of blue in here. This is just a coloured pencil. A chalky pencil. I'm using the pencil to create a softness of colour down its back. Like that. I'm going to find a bit of purple as well. And on this dark side, I'm going to add in a bit of purple. Find a red, if I can find a red. Okay, let's add in some colour on the claws at the top here. One, and this is quite pillar box red, so I want to knock it back a bit. I want to add a second tone to this, otherwise that's too bright. So I'm going to use this brown and I'm going to colour the brown on top of the red, which is just going to take the harshness, the brightness off that pillar box red colour, which we don't want so much of. Beautiful. Okay, what else have we got here? Just looking through these pen pots to see what other colours I've got in it. I'm going to use this green here. It's a lovely kind of like peacocky green. Again, the beetle is black, but there's very few things in life that are pure colours. Everything has tones of colour. And things, so if this was out in in out walking around on the path or whatever, then some of the colour would reflect on its beautiful glossy back, and so that's really important to try and get that reflection. I'm just going to go and get a fine liner. So you might not have these. The reason why I'm using this is because the biro is really quite hard on this beautiful old book. It's quite delicate. So I'm just going to use, I can't press any harder, so I'm just going to use this fine liner to go over some of the outside. I'm not going to go over all of it, but I'm just adding it in just to create a bit of darkness on some of those lines. If I could press harder with my biro, I would, but this book is so old and soft, it's starting to literally come apart. So I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to put some lines on this side, around here. Now on his body, he's definitely, we need to try and create the fact that his head is round. So I'm just doing some rounder shapes on that side, on the darker side of his head. And the same there. So they're tiny little flick lines like this, look. See that? And then here on this side, I'm going to do long strokes. Long, just 2 or 3, not too many. But just to add some extra texture and detail to the pen sketch. And the bottom of his leg. So a bit of thick colour there, bit of thick colour there. So I'm just kind of adding patches of just pure black to give that real essence of that he is actually, I'm saying he, I don't know if he is a he, but he is actually a black stag beetle. Beautiful. And then you might want to create some texture on where the beetle is actually hanging out. So this could be the earth. So I'm just going to do some stones where his feet are. Maybe a few bits of grass. Like that. And then I'm going to use my pencil to really shade that in. So that it's got something to sit on and ground the little beetle where he is. Helps to bring him forward of that book colour. And there he is. That is my stag beetle. Daily doodle. Daily doodle. Day 2. I hope you've enjoyed yourself. Hope the kids had a good go. I'd love to see how their art turns out. Later on we'll do a little messy make and we'll make the monster book and we will see you very soon. Okay, bye.